This is Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia, where we answer your questions about what it's like to live, work, and travel in Russia.
Welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about how long Americans can stay in Russia on a visa. Marcus, I know you've got tons of experience helping specifically Americans get visas to Russia. How long can Americans actually stay in Russia when they have a visa? Specifically, maybe let's talk about business and tourist visas.
Yeah, so recently we have always recommended our clients at Let's Russia get the 3-year visa, so tourist, business, private, or humanitarian, because 2 years ago the prices changed and it's the same price. So we just say get the 3-year visa. Now on the visa itself it says you can stay up to 6 months. There's there's what's called a 90-day rule out of every 180 days that all other passport holders have to comply to. So let's say a German or a EU citizen has a 1-year business visa, they can only stay 90 days out of every 180 days. That does not apply to US citizens. So essentially, US passport holders can get the 3-year visa, they go to Russia, they can stay up to 6 months, and then they can leave Russia and go right back into Russia. So they just cross the border, come back. There's no minimum amount of time that they have to spend outside of Russia, which is a lot of people don't know that, because when they look online, they'll see this 90-day rule and it actually applies to everyone else. So essentially, as a US citizen, you can get the 3-year visa if your passport is valid for that long, right? And once a year, leave Russia, go right back in, and stay up to 3 years until you need another visa. So you could be on a business visa, you could be on a tourist visa, you could have a private visa if you have friends or relatives inviting you from Russia. It's funny because US-Russia relations aren't at the top of the list when it comes to friendliness, but the simplified visa between the two countries is actually a huge benefit for US passport holders.
Right, and Russian citizens as well can get American visas to the US, relatively easily and for 3 years, which is also pretty advantageous compared to most countries who are getting US visas. But anyway, real quick, I have a question. So what if somebody goes to Russia on a 3-year business visa and they find a job and they want to stay in Russia and they want to get a work visa? Can they extend their visa, or do they have to leave Russia, get a new visa, and come back? Because I think that's a pretty common occurrence.
So sometimes when you have a 3-year visa and you need to switch visas because you get a job, in order to do that, you'll have to get the current visa, void. It will be void when you get a new visa. If you get a job with a Russian organization and they're providing a work visa, yes, you would leave Russia and get a work visa at a Russian consulate. The great thing about, again, being American with a US passport, you don't necessarily have to go back to the US. You can go to Finland or one of the Baltic countries or Germany or Poland and go to Russian consulate in, nearby, right? Obviously, you travel there, but not as far as the US. And you can, do the visa process and then go back to Russia. So yes, technically, if you're getting a student, if you're, enrolling in a program in university, if you get a job, you do have to switch to that specific visa. Right,
and it has to be done outside of Russia. So interesting, when I went to Russia, I arrived with a tourist visa, started looking for a job, and I got a job. And I went to Sweden, actually. I was able to get the work visa in 1 day. Like, I dropped the documents off at 10 in the morning and the visa was ready at 2 p.m. So it was quite straightforward. I went there and I stayed overnight one night just because, I wasn't sure. But it's very possible even to do it within 1 day in some places.
So I haven't done a visa in Stockholm before. I've done one in Helsinki, in Riga, in Vilnius, in Tallinn, in Narva, in Germany at multiple consulates as a US citizen. Every consulate, not always, but can be different. The requirements can be different. There's different consul generals, there's different requirements in the country. So sometimes you think, oh, I got the visa at this Russian consulate in this city, and it wasn't a pain. But then you go to another one, and they're saying, hey, we need this document, this one you've never, had to give before.
Right.
So just know that they can request extra documents, and you can't do anything about it unless you give them the extra document. But on the flip side, the benefit of getting a Russian visa is that as long as you jump through all the hoops, you won't be denied the visa, right?
Right.
Because Russians are sometimes just denied U.S. visas for whatever reason.
Right. That's a good point. The only real reason they deny you is if you don't provide the right documents, even after they say you need these documents.
Right.
It's usually a documentation issue. I've never heard of someone actually being denied for a Russian visa.
Right. So that's kind of surprising to a lot of Americans. You can stay pretty much up to 3 years with one trip outside of Russia per year. And a lot of people ask, well, do I have to be outside of Russia, minimum amount of time? The shortest amount of time that I've been out of Russia, so I had a 3-year business visa, and I drove my car over the border, turned around and drove it back into Russia. And it was 45 minutes or so between the visits, and the border guard, while I was coming in, because they're not the same at most checkpoints, they're not the same. When you're going out, there's a border guard here, or a passport control, sorry, and then you turn around and there's another. So the passport control officer asked, you left today, you left Russia today, and I kind of jokingly replied, I miss Russia so much. And he just laughed and, stamped my passport, and I went back into Russia. So
I hope that was helpful. If you have other questions about being an American and getting a Russian visa, let us know in the comments, or you can check out Marcus's website, letsrussia.com. We hope to see you in another video.